Hi, thanks very much for joining me for Marketing Monday for Mediators and Arbitrators, where we get to talk, you and I, about all kinds of things that have to do with your practice development. And we have a little coffee, start our days off right. All right, today I want to talk to you about something that comes up frequently in conversation with my clients, and that is tense. Not the emotional or physical response to a given situation, but tense as it applies linguistically to pronouns and how we use our pronouns. And these are not necessarily the pronouns that a lot of people are thinking about, maybe, which has to do with how you identify as a gender position. These are the pronouns that we use that are first person, second person, or third person. And I want to talk a little bit about some of the options that you have in using first, second, or third person in all of the writing that we do and the way that we represent ourselves online or in articles, etc. And, I'm a big proponent of using writing as a way to market and promote your credibility and authority. So in articles, yes, absolutely. But also for your website content, for your bio, maybe for the listing that you have online as a panelist with a roster. All of these things need to come into play. This could be the about section that you write for yourself on LinkedIn or Facebook or wherever it is that you have your social media accounts. This kind of thoughtfulness to tense is important because in all of the things that we do for practice development, ultimately the goal is to create some kind of connectivity with the reader. And how we go about doing that in large part is the tense that we use. So let's talk a little bit about tense. And like I said, this is essentially the 3 points of tense: first person, second person, or third person. First person is the I, me, we, us, our. That's first person. Second person, you and yours. And then third person is he, him, her, it, his, hers. Those are third person pronouns. And so let's talk a little bit about some of the ways that you can decide where you might use a particular perspective for your mediation practice, your website, your blog, your About Me section, right? All of those different places. Let's think about first person. So reasons that mediators and arbitrators would use first person is, again, so that the reader, so that your prospective client can connect with you more easily. It is a way in which you can replace, I guess, the written page on the about section or your bio, what have you, as opposed to being in a face-to-face networking event, right? This written piece is going to replace that face-to-face. And if you were live at a networking event, at a networking event, you wouldn't talk about yourself in third person because that would quite honestly just be weird, right? So if you and I were meeting at a networking event and I said, Natalie Armstrong has written this book, and Natalie Armstrong gives this speech from time to time, and Natalie Armstrong has this class, and Natalie Armstrong can help you with the thing, you would look at me with a perplexed look on your face, probably walk away from that interaction because that's just weird. When we meet face to face, we talk in first person. And in those situations where you're trying to create that same kind of connectivity with a prospective client, you also might consider using first person. Now, of course, it's a bit tricky because you have to really work so that you're not starting every single sentence with the pronoun I. That makes you sound like an egomaniac. So it does take a little bit of effort to finesse, to wordsmith what you're putting together, so that not every sentence starts with I. And it will read a bit differently. But still, first person is a great perspective to write from. That point of view makes you approachable. It allows you to talk about your expertise. It sets you up as a credible authority. It's just a lovely position to use, right? You don't lose any credibility. You don't lose any authority. It does make you likable. It does make you approachable. And those are all really good things. You may want to use first person on pages that are about your practice, that are your arbitrator or mediator bio, whether it's on your page or on a panel's page, a roster page. You might want to use first person when you're talking about your settlement rates. You might want to use first person when you're talking about your practice specialty niche. I mean, there are other reasons, but those are kind of the top ones that come to mind. A page like your Mediator Bio, as an example, I think can be written in either first person or third person and be just as effective. But it's really most important that the ultimate goal of that page is that it draws attention, it draws connection to you and your client. It creates some connective tissue there. And a good mediator bio, it can include information about your education, your formative years, your career, who you help, lots of different topics. But be sure that what you're discussing, whatever it is that you've done, in context of what you do for a potential client. So however it is that you define yourself, you describe yourself, make it connect with why that's important to a prospective client. So it's great that you list all of these things, but what does it mean to the reader? Define that. And many, if not most, mediators and arbitrators that I work with, they consider themselves and write frequently that they are quote unquote experienced or quote unquote client focused. And as true as it might be, and as lovely as it might be, it really isn't unique. It really doesn't set their practice apart from the other practices that can quite easily and authentically make that same claim. But when you go into a first person narrative about your path to the resolution industry, that's different. That's what makes you unique. That is why people would hire you, right? You have a different perspective. You have a different history. You have different experiences. You are credible for these particular reasons. And that's why it applies to this prospective client's case or clients. And then, additionally, honestly, most of us are solo practitioners. And so we need to be writing in first person. So you would want to say, for example, I provide early neutral evaluation. You could, I suppose, write it in third person, which would be Natalie, an attorney mediator, provides early neutral evaluation. That's a little bit more formal, a little bit more stilted, still appropriate. So you want to think about the psychographics of your audience and make sure that it fits with what they do and is also authentic to you. I guess, what I would say is that anytime you're writing something like for your website, you might really want to avoid using the plural of first person, and that the plural, of course, is we or our. Unless you have staff, and unless there really is a collective in your office or in your practice, then you want to avoid using the we or the our. If you don't have staff, if you don't have a collective of, if you don't have other humans that you're working with, it could really backfire because once your client learns that you are a solo practitioner and you've presented yourself as a we, as a collective, they're going to feel as though they've perhaps been maybe not deceived, but misled. And we don't want to do that, not ever. You always want to be transparent, and we don't want people to feel like they've been misled. And in a similar way, you want to be cautious about use of first person singular, so that if you write something to the effect of, I will take care of you, but in all likelihood, your clients are going to be dealing with someone on your staff, then you've created some client expectation management issues, perhaps. So be careful in choosing your tense based on your situation and the psychographic preference of a potential client, always. And I know it's a tricky balance. It really is. Excuse me. Let's see, in the comments section, David says, good morning. Hi, David. How are you? I'm so glad you're with me today. Thanks very much for joining. Always good to see you here. All right. So let's talk about reasons to use a second person perspective on our ADR websites, articles, etc. Second person you will see frequently used in, for example, novels. Novels written in first person or third person, sure, but we don't usually see much use of second person point of view. And that's because a second person point of view is difficult to do in a novel, and that's why we don't see it very often. Second person is hard. It really is much more difficult, but that's okay because we're not writing novels. Some of us write books, but we're not writing a novel. You're trying to reach and connect with your potential clients, and the second person perspective allows you to speak to them personally and can be a great choice for parts of the substantive content or blog post. The second person point of view has, possibly a number of benefits for you. It's really good for instructing and informing in a conversational manner. It can put you in a position of authority while still staying approachable. And that's an important factor for a lot of clients who may be hiring you for the first time. That's, that we want that. We really want that connectivity. It's a point of view that helps potential clients not only connect with what you're writing, but also to participate in it, right? They're one of the players. And there are some pages that can benefit from a second person approach, particularly because those pages pertain to the reader, to your potential client. Practice area pages, detailed legal pages, local pages, Q&A, FAQ pages. These are all a really good fit for a second person point of view. The choice that you use in tense really can help a potential client learn more about which of your processes is best for their case, while still showing them that you understand what their experience is like. Blog posts are a great area that you might want to think about using second person perspective. Now, third person perspective. Some reasons to use third person perspective on your Mediator or Arbitrator website. Let's see. So, while the first person point of view can sound more personal, more engaging, the third person point of view can sound more serious or more objective. Fine position to take, fine points, right? So choosing to talk about yourself or your practice in first person or third person, it doesn't really come down to this is right and this is wrong. Again, it's a matter of strategy. You have to think about what is authentic to you, but also what's most appropriate for them. It's going to be different for everyone. So you have to sort of find that sweet spot for you and for your practice. I guess it might also depend on the kind of cases that you hear and whether or not those clients are represented clients or unrepresented clients. So for clients that are attorneys, that are counsel, they're possibly a more familiar client to our services. Unrepresented clients are going to be less familiar with the processes that we use and might benefit from a first person kind of communication. Representatives, counsel, advocates, they might be just fine with third person. So again, you just kind of have to, pick and choose, again, what's authentic to you and what's best for them. But you really can, as an arbitrator or mediator, write about yourself in first person, third person. You've got lots of different choices. In some areas, though, of your substantive content or blog posts, a third person may not necessarily be the best choice because it can seem a bit detached. It can be a bit formal, a bit stilted. And a potential client, especially for our industry, really needs to know that not only do you have all of the experience necessary, and all of the training necessary, and all of the verbal judo tools necessary to help them or their clients. They really want to know that you get them and you care about them. And using another perspective like second person can help you draw your reader into that kind of content. So, gosh, I guess, third person, although it can sound more objective, second person perspective draws the reader into the action, right? So it gives you the benefit of letting them engage on a more personal level. So, listen, it is ultimately up to you. The answer is a mediator's answer, and that is it depends. Depends on you, depends on your practice, depends on your clients, depends on where you're putting this information. But regardless of what point of view you choose, what I want to reinforce in today's Marketing Monday is that you really do need to think carefully about the strategy. What are you writing? Why are you writing it? For whom are you writing it? And in what tense is it going to be best received? So thinking about the strategy of the tense that we use is really important and not something to be taken lightly or overlooked. And that really is it for me for Marketing Monday. I really appreciate that you've joined me. Hello. Let's see, I've got Josephine in Lagos, Nigeria. Got Adebodan from Lagos, Nigeria. Also, I've got Kennedy. Oh my gosh, thank you all for joining me for Marketing Monday. I really appreciate that you're here. If you've got a topic of conversation or a topic for marketing or something that you'd like for me to explore as it applies to your practice development, please absolutely put a comment down below and let me know, and I will answer your concern, your request in an upcoming Marketing Monday. And so until we meet again, thanks so much. Be good humans.